Anthea Moffitis.
Guys, we're back, as we said, for season 4. We're really excited. We actually have a lot of guests lined up for this month. We actually have guests that are going to be coming on talking about finances and relationships. We have another guest coming on talking about emotional intelligence. She'll be coming back to do one on health, like actual health, like taking care of yourself. And then we have a gentleman coming on who's happily married, who's going to be talking about should relationships be like businesses. So it's going to be a very fruitful month for us. We want you guys to like, share, subscribe. Like, we do have requirements for our podcast. Like, if you're going to come here, don't just watch, like, share, subscribe, participate, right? That's the only
It's more
requirement.
interesting as well. But it's a lot nicer, isn't it?
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free to do.
Yeah, it's like free samples at the grocery store. You're going to say no to a free sample?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly. Absolutely not. If he's like, oh, here's some truffles, you're not going to be like, no, it's free. No. Okay, it's free.
Especially if it was free wine, most people go, yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Especially if it's free wine, you're not going to be like, no, I don't want it. It's free wine, sir. Well, no, I'm sorry. I don't. Yo, come on. Like,
I don't even drink, and I still take the free wine.
There you go. So we're going to play the promo video. And then I have like one thing to share with you guys, and then we will get into today's topic, man. So again, I'm going to do a quick screen share just to share something important with you guys. It's important to us, and I think you guys will like it. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. I wanted to share it on the first episode, but I didn't get a chance to, so I'm going to share it with you guys today. I wish we could do a little drum roll thing, but we can't.
That's going to go.
Exactly. We don't have a little drum roll thing. Look, guys, if you go to our page on YouTube, we have a clips playlist where you can watch all of our 3-minute clips of everything that we post on Instagram and TikTok. So honestly, it's a new addition that we've added where you guys will be able to watch every single clip that we've posted on Instagram. You guys don't want to watch us for an hour, 20 minutes. That's understandable. You guys might be like, hey man, damn, that's too long. We've actually given you a solution, and we have a clips channel on our YouTube channel. You can just type us in, Love and Relationship Conversations. The logo is there. You can find us. You can type Love and Relationship Conversations, Michael White or Anthea Morpheus. Find us on YouTube, like us, share, subscribe, whatever it is. But you want to watch a 3-minute clip of us, that's available for you. So, with that being said, let's get into today's topic. Does your past define your future?
No.
Wow, okay.
No, it does not.
I have to disagree for certain reasons, because it depends on what context we're talking about. Are we talking about relationships? Now, clearly on this podcast, we talk about dating and relationships, right? So I'm going to say, Anthea, why do you say no, it doesn't?
Because as long as you can learn from your past, I truly believe, and you want to make a change. Let's say it's in the content of relationship, and you've had bad relationships, and every relationship you've been in has not gone your way. And now you've reached a stage where you're just like, I've had enough. Now, those relationships, you can learn from them, and you can you have to be able to heal yourself through them, forgive everything that's happened, forgive yourself for being in this situation in the first place, but go through a healing process and come to the point where you now choose better, and you don't give your time and attention to the people that, like you. I think it's about everything we've ever spoken about, Michael, in the sense of, looking out for the red flags, vetting somebody, taking your time with something, and then that past that's happened before, you can literally put it to rest, because you're turning up as a new individual. You're now choosing differently. You're now your awareness is at another level. You're looking for something different. So I think if you can stand from that point, that standpoint, the past shouldn't really affect you. You can use it as a reference to say, I know that's not what I want, and I know what I'm looking for now. But if you focus on everything you don't want, you're going to keep getting that, as far as I'm concerned. But if you focus on all the things you do want and you actively are looking for that in a partner, then when you do meet up with people, then and you're looking for someone, then you can find those things that you like, and you can have your own tick list to say, okay, that covers that, covers that, covers that. And if it goes along the line and you find that old traits are kicking in, then I wouldn't blame the other person. I'd have to come back to myself and say, well, what am I doing the same as what I'd done before? Because I'm obviously, if it's coming back into your life in how things were previously, there's something to do with yourself. And I think too many of us find it very easy to put the blame on other people, but actually we've got to look at ourselves to what's happening. So that's why I say that the past doesn't define you if you are prepared to go through that healing process and really stand in a place of knowing what you want and being able to vet the person and be just super aware, to be fair, Michael. I think, that's how I see it anyway.
I agree with you. So, look, guys, we have 2 people in here. Please like, share, and subscribe for the video. It's going to help us. And that's what I mean. We're very happy to give you guys the content, but at the same time, we also need the support and love. So, the reason why I'm saying someone's past matters in a relationship context, it's because you need to know what you're bringing into your life. And I'm going to give some excellent analogies. Think about it. When you buy a house, do they just let you live in there? Or do they do a background check to see what your history's been like? We all know that when you buy a house, right? And obviously, if it's good enough for them, it should be good enough for me. When you buy a house, they do a history check, right? To make sure that you've paid your bills on time, you have a good credit score, all these things, right? Because if you, let's say, are not qualified to get that house, why should you still get the house? Now, with that being said, if you have a bad past or whatever, or your past or whatever, but you're making changes in your behavior, now there's a different level of consideration into play. You see what I'm saying? So let's say you meet someone and they have a spotty past of cheating or something, and they tell you, right? But you've seen changes in their behavior. That's what I'm saying. Someone's past does matter because it can reflect on the present, especially if they've made poor choices in the past. You need to know what you're bringing into your life. And that's where a lot of people get hurt because all they see is like the fuzzies, and they bring this person into their present. All these things start to come up from their past, let's say trauma, bad behaviors, or whatever. And because you didn't vet or you didn't do anything or do proper research, now you're stuck in a situation where you're like, I like them, I want to leave. I like them, I want to leave. And you created a problem for yourself.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And I think that's why I was, on the point I was making there was it's got to be something that you've recognized in yourself, and you're going through a healing process, and then you can turn up with honesty. And when you're standing there and being honest and saying, look, this is what's happened in my past, but that's not defining who I am today.
Because you've made an adjustment.
Because I made an adjustment, yeah. And it's defining, I suppose you can, I mean, look, it's kind of contradicting in this sense where I'm just saying right now is like, it doesn't define who you are today, but it does define who you are today, because everything that's happened up until now is going to define you. And if that includes healing, that will also define who you are today. So
sure. Let's kick it up a notch, actually. Let's kick it up a notch. Anthea, you've rented cars before, right?
Yep.
You've rented vehicles, right?
Yep.
When you've rented these vehicles, did they do a check to make sure that you were, let's say, an upstanding citizen?
Yes.
Right? So, if we're going to use this analogy, think about it this way. Why would they rent out a car to someone knowing that they've been in like 10 accidents? That would be foolish on their part to say, well, we'll still give you a car even though you've been in like 10 accidents.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. To me, it's like that's.
However, if that person had 10 accidents, but since they've realized that that's what keeps on happening, their driving skills are very poor.
Hmm.
But they took over in the UK, you can take extra lessons
Yeah,
for different type
for
of driving
driving.
license. Yeah, different type of driving license, which allows you to be able to speed and do certain things. I can't remember what it's called. But let's say you went into you went into a course, a driving course,
Hmm.
and you'd gone to a number of them, and you know, you've really gone into it to say, okay, I've now taken this course, I qualified like that, my driving skills have improved, I've had an instructor with me, I've now learned this and that, and I know how to use my mirrors better, I know. And you've done all of that, then that car company would look at those certificates and be able to pass you to rent that car, because you've now taken different steps and you've made a
Hmm.
change, right? But if you was just a person that had the accidents and hadn't done nothing about it, and you're standing there going, well, yeah, I smash cars, that's what I do, I don't care, then you wouldn't get it.
But let's be honest. Even if you do the course and you do all that stuff and you still make the changes, they still might not rent you a car because you're still a risk factor. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's say, for example, hypothetically, you met a guy. He's a great guy, you like him, but he's cheated on his last 5 girlfriends, but he has changed. You might not still be willing to take the risk.
Yeah, and that's an individual. That's something that each person would have to make that decision. But I think you've got people who are very forgiving in that sense, and can see that people have changed and are willing to take that chance, and other people that they've got anxiety and they can't cope with things
Well, you
like
can't
that.
get mad at somebody, even if you've changed. You can't get mad at somebody, especially if you've told them you've had a past. You can't get mad at them for not picking you,
No,
especially if you've
you
changed.
can't. No, you
Because
can't.
to them, they're like, yo, this person's a risk factor.
Hmm.
Like, even though they've seen that you've changed, it's like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I can't.
And if you're not the person to give them that chance, then you're not the person for them anyway. So I don't think anyone should get upset.
No, well, like, look, on this podcast, we don't like to lie. We like to be honest. Years ago, I got to know a girl. Fantastic girl. Loved her. She's fantastic. We always had a good time. Right. And then when the relationship started to go deep, right? Because again, we've talked about on podcast, relationships need to go deep. I was very attracted to her in the beginning. When she told me the truth that she had at least 100 bodies, my attraction level went down and I stopped wanting to get to know her. That was her past. She stopped doing that. She didn't do that anymore. But I was just like, no, sorry, I can't. It was a risk factor for me.
But that's something you can't change. You can't even improve on that
No,
because
you
it's
can't.
happened.
You can't. But it was like still like, and even though after we still like remained in contact, I told her if the guy doesn't ask, don't tell him because if you do, he gonna run.
Yeah, because 100 bodies, you've as a woman, you're taking it. So to me, that is something completely different to cheating, because
Mm,
a cheater could possibly change and could take different actions in different ways to improve themselves,
they
because
could.
it was actions that they done that didn't involve it still involves having sexual activities in the bedroom and whatnot, but for a woman to have over 100 bodies going inside her body, that you can't do nothing about that, as in, like, you can't improve on that. Just even if you say, like, I'm not doing that anymore, you still had that in your body,
Well,
which
I
way you
seen
want to
her
try and
as a
look at it.
risk because I said she looks like someone that's never satisfied.
Yeah, but well, to go through that many people, then you can't be satisfied, can you? There's a lot of people to go through.
And that's what I mean. And I wasn't judging. And again on this podcast, we don't judge, we don't shame, we don't attack men or women. We just acknowledge certain things. I couldn't go through with having a relationship with her. I couldn't. My mind wouldn't let me.
Mm,
And that's what I'm trying to say. That I'm not trying to say that we need to show up with perfect pasts, but we need to be honest so they know what they're getting into and you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Because they need to give you the chance to say no.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because you'll have people that will jump into a relationship with somebody, they've been with them for 3 months, and then they find out that they're a serial cheater. And then it's like, you could have avoided all that heartache if
They
you
just said
just
it.
would have been honest. Look, I've cheated in my past, XYZ. I don't do that anymore. I've healed, I've taken breaks. If you give me the opportunity or you're interested, I'd love to show you that, that man or woman doesn't exist anymore.
But then do we really have to expose ourselves like that? At the end of the day, if you
You
know,
do.
if you've got your own integrity and you're standing knowing that you're not going to do that anymore, then why would you put someone in? Why would you say it to someone when you know that you've had, let's say you've got this great connection, things are fantastic, and then you tell them that, then that could just, that's as a past, it's gone, it's done, it's dusted. It's no longer there. It's not part of your present moment anymore.
No.
So do you really have to then go in and tell somebody that's what
Well,
you've done?
the reason why you're going to tell them, it's because you guys are going to go deep at some point. And it is very important for you to know what you're getting into. Don't you think about it this way, Anthea? Don't you think from a lot of your relationships, if you would have known certain things, would you have still moved forward with those men?
Well, yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
That's what I'm
there's
saying, though.
definitely the
Like,
most
if you
recent
knew
one.
certain things, you would have been like, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. Like, I can't date you.
Mm,
If they would have been upfront from the get go, instead of waiting for you to get in the relationship, for you to get the connection, for you to get the feelings, and then say whatever they said. And then at that point, you're flabbergasted because you're like, I didn't sign up for this.
yeah, I mean that's happened once. And I'm just trying to think of like relationships of what's been said, but I think the most recent one that you know of, then that would have definitely been so worth me knowing all the things that came with that. Had I known from the beginning, absolutely, Michael, I would
Because
never
there's no
ever have
judgment.
gone there.
It's just when
I
someone
just,
tells you that, you can't handle it. It's like,
yeah,
I don't want to deal with that.
well,
Doesn't mean you're
yeah,
a bad person. It's just, it's
no,
not something that I want to tackle on.
thank you. And that's what it comes down to. It's a personal preference that I would prefer not to go through that and not to have to deal with anything like that. I like peace in my life, and that wasn't peace. That was very destructive. So to have that come along and not realize, but portray something so peaceful, and then show later through other people that it's not that. There's no peace here. This is upside down, back to front,
It's
and every angle you can think of.
and that's the thing. I'm not saying that you go on a date and you say, are you a serial cheater? Have you cheated
No.
before? No, but I'm saying at a point, once you've established that there is a connection, that this is a thing, you guys have gone out for maybe 2-3 weeks, there needs to be a period where you guys are upfront with each other
Yeah,
of, are we going to move forward? And if we are there any skeletons in your closet
yeah,
that I need to know
absolutely.
about before I commit to this?
Yeah, because it's true. Because I think you're right in what you're saying there. Because I think, you know what, when you go deep with somebody, if you're holding something back, then you're going to naturally feel that in yourself, and that's naturally going to emanate to the other person, which could cause friction without even knowing that that's happened, because subconsciously you know. But if you just spill it all out and you just put it all on the table, then there's nothing to go back on. You don't have to. You can always move forward with a clear mind, and every decision you make and everything you do, you know that there's nothing you're not saying. You've said everything that needs to be said, and you either like it or you don't, or you want to work with it or you don't. Whatever, which way it goes, it's up to you.
Well, that's what it is, because I'm going to give you guys an amazing example of why this is important. Imagine you're the man and you meet a fantastic woman, right? And you're pouring into her, she's pouring into you, but you're pouring into each other, right? So picture the relationship as a vase, right? But let's say you're not sharing certain things. You're leaving certain things out. You're not really telling their past or anything like that. When the person keeps pouring into you, that vase is eventually going to start to crack.
Mm.
Cracks are going to start, and water is going to start to leak out in some places, right? You're going to start to see certain behaviors. you're going to start to see certain things start to leak out of that vase and wondering what's going on. And then you're going to try to patch the vase up with bandages or whatever. And then eventually the vase breaks. And then you're wondering what happened? How did I end up in a relationship like this? How did this go left? How did this go this way? It's because you weren't upfront before you started pouring into this person. You could have been like, look, I've been a cheater before, but I don't do that no more. Do you still want me to pour into you? The person's either going to say yes or no, because in that way, they know what's being poured into them. And I mean the relationship. So that way, if cracks do appear, you patch them up right away.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I was going to say, I mean, other than cheating, do you feel that the past, the past determines the future in that sense, other than cheating?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about, because again, could it be childhood traumas? Could it be anything? And that's the thing, because when you're dating someone and two lives become one, you need to know what you're dealing with at the end of the day. Even if it's outside of other relationships, you need to know what their childhood was like. You need to know, do they have any childhood traumas? You need to know sexual history. You need to know a lot of things before you commit to that. Because it will be a serious conversation that you guys will have at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Lie?
Yeah. And that's why I suppose where I started off this show saying, no, it doesn't define your future. I think that, again, just to put it back in there again, it's like you just said, if it's childhood traumas and stuff like that, I think everyone has to go for a healing process. And if people don't go for a healing process, Michael, I think it's definitely gonna define your future, and
they become destructive members of society.
Yeah, it becomes. It's not. I think everyone needs to have a way to be able to deal with things that have happened and be able to let it go and forgive the situations, forgive yourself, to be able to move forward so that your future is bright, not doomed.
Well, your present is bright, and then your future is even brighter.
Absolutely. Well said. And it really is your present moment, because, every time you go through and you clear something out of you and you can find what triggers have taken place and you can deal with them, man, what a huge difference it makes to people's life. And it's first and foremost, this starts with a relationship with yourself. So if your relationship with yourself is quite destructive in itself, because of your thought process, because of the way your actions that you take, and that's going to reflect everywhere else anyway, in every relationship, because it's the relationship with you that's most important, because you're always going to wake up to you and you're always going to go to sleep to you, and you're going to be with you in between. Yeah, you set the tone. Absolutely. So I think it's so important to for people to recognize these things in them,
That's amazing. Well, I'm going to just pause the show for a second. Look, we have 5 people in here. We really appreciate you guys being in here. This is why we switched to an evening show, so we can reach more people. So thank you very much for the 5 that were in there. Greatly appreciated. But see, that's why, as I tell you, honestly, I think anybody on this live or anybody on this podcast can actually reflect and say, damn, because we all have exes. Let's be honest. We all have exes or whatever. If you would have known certain things up front, you probably would have given a different answer. You probably would have said no.
Yeah. And it would have, like you said rightfully earlier on, it will save you so much time and energy and everything. But in the same breath, when I say that, Michael, I think sometimes we need to have these things happen in our world in order for us to really define what we do want. Because, if you don't have like challenges in relationships, or just say everything's been smooth glory, which isn't life, but no. I mean, like, if most of the time, and you don't experience this kind of things in relationships, then how do you get to the great relationship? Because every relationship's going to have its ups and downs. And I suppose if you've been in ones that have created quite a lot of pain, then I think you need to appreciate them and not like hate on them, because actually they've taught you what not to go for and where to focus next, right?
That is true, but imagine if that pain could have been avoided. Think about it. For example, do you think anybody wants to be cheated on? No, because then once
No.
you become cheated on, your perspective of things changes. You might
Yes,
have
but
trust issues. You might have you might be on edge. So a lot of times the saying will say, well, hey, you need to go through it and experience to realize what you don't want. But the thing is, a lot of times you can just sit down and kind of cast a net and realize, man, I can't deal with a serial cheater. I can't deal with someone that's like this. Instead of putting yourself in the position to like deal with it and then say, now that I've suffered this way, now I know I really can't deal with it. But it's like,
and yeah, and I hear that, but I think if people can recognize it and then be able to just walk away, which I think this is a big problem as well, that people don't know how to walk away. They find it really difficult to let go. But I think this is where a non-attachment to people. If you
well,
see
let's clear
that,
that up. Is it letting go or is it just heightened awareness that that relationship is not the relationship for you?
well, I think it's both. The relationship's not for you, and let it go, man. Move on. If somebody's cheated on you, don't listen to those BS excuses of, a lot of the time you'll find that someone's cheating, they'll make it that it's you. They'll try and point the finger at you and make you feel, especially, I don't know, I'm a woman, so I can only go on the woman's
Mm.
side of things here, but where it's, you think, how was I going to say it? I'm trying to think of how it's been said to me in the past, where they've come and said, you're the one that's cheating, you're the one that's doing this. And it's like,
So
whoa, whoa,
a
whoa, whoa. It's like, yeah,
deflection.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, you're going crazy. You're mad. How can you think that about me? You'd hear this a lot. A lot of women can say that, a lot of men would say to them, you're crazy. And when you hear a man say you're crazy, walk away in that moment. Just walk.
Well, see, the reason why I wanted to do this podcast and talk about this, the past to find the future, because I know a lot of wonderful women and men who have been cheated on, and because of those experiences, now they're afraid to date. They're afraid to get
That's
involved.
not healthy. That's not healthy either, Michael. It's not healthy to be like that,
But you
because
see,
you
like that
cannot put
define.
yeah, but you can't put everybody, and just because someone's done that to you, there's 7.5 billion people out here. You can't say that person's done that to me, so I'm frightened to go and date someone else. That means that that person needs healing and be
I
able
agree
to
with
move
you,
forward, right? Because otherwise, you're holding on to your past, and it is defining you in a negative way, not in a positive way.
but you also got to look at it too. When people are in their feelings, they don't care about anything else. They care about, this has happened to me. A lot of times situations, people will let situations define them. So
Yes.
that's what will make them afraid to want to date or trust again, because of the pain was so great. They let that define them. That's like, okay, that's me. When no, that's just a circumstance that happened to you.
Happened. It's
Doesn't
not you.
define you. But that's
No.
what I'm trying to say, is it leaves everlasting scars for a lot of people, because they either A, don't really date again, they don't really trust, they're on edge, they're edgy, and they don't know how to trust again because of the damage that's been done. And that's a past defining moment for them that they've maybe never really addressed.
But I think that people really have to learn to to deal with their past, because you become a victim
Mhm.
to it, and
See,
then
that's a better way to say it, to deal with it, but because we could just let go. Well, I don't want to, because their feelings are attached to the moment,
yeah,
to that thing, right? But when you detach your feelings and you tell someone, deal with it, there's a difference of like, you need to address that this has happened to you. It's
yeah,
not just let it go. They're like, but my feelings.
yeah. And I mean, let it go, as in like let the relationship go, walk from that. But like you said, it's yeah. I just think if you keep holding on to things that have happened and allowing yourself to be defined by those experiences, then your life's not going to blossom, because you keep
No, it won't.
holding yourself. You're holding yourself as, it's like having a picture. You got a picture of yourself as how you were, and you're keeping yourself as that. But actually, we're evolving beings. We're always growing. Like, experiences help us to become more of who we are. We can become more of who we are. But if you're holding on to those experiences and using them as it's like using it as an excuse, in a sense,
It's
to
being a
say,
victim.
and being a victim and having a victim mentality, and that victim mentality will keep you there. And you don't need to do that to yourself, as far as I'm concerned. There is and especially in today's society, how things are, you go on the internet, you can find different courses, or you can find books or anything that can help you through that process. Like, you don't have to go and pay for somebody. You can just go and get some books and some audios and listen, take some notes and implement what's being said, because it's a shame to see so many people stuck, Michael. It really is. Like, you
Well,
just
they're
think,
living with their ghosts of their past. So
yes,
they're living with past ghosts.
yes. And I don't think we need to do that to ourselves, not in this day and age.
Well, look, if we're being honest, again, and that's what we do on this podcast. Look, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've lost some good girls. I have, but I've just learned to accept it. I've lost some fantastic women. Do I wish sometimes they were here? Yes, but at the same time, I accept it because I'm like, that's just a part of life. It is. So I don't want that
it
to ever prevent me from meeting someone new and
is.
exciting, because I still have ghosts of the past. So I think that's why it's important for everybody to address it. But at the same time, as I said, you can't knock someone for not wanting to date you because you have a spotty past.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that too. I think there's,
And I mean that
again,
in the nicest way possible, because let's say you're a woman that's been cheated on and you've never dealt with the cheating or whatever, right? And you meet a nice guy and you actually start to like him, and you tell him, yeah, I've been cheated on him, and he says, no, I can't date you. Why? Because he doesn't want to take the risk of the trauma, the pain. Maybe if you start dating this man, you're going to question everything that he does, because you're
yeah,
going to think he's cheating on you.
yeah, but if you turned up and say, "Yeah, I've been cheated on, but to be fair, I've dealt with it. I've done A, B, C, D, and E, and I am at this point right now," and you can really express to how you're feeling today rather than how it was, and you can turn up with a knowing in yourself that that is what happened, but that's not what I'm expecting from you. It's not what I expect in my life, and I am standing here right now as with a new thought process towards a new person in front of me, and I'll never attach them two together. Like, that was a person that happened, and you're not that person. And if you can show up in that sense and let that person know, then they might, I believe that they'll give you the opportunity
Yeah,
to be able
because
to
you
get
were
to know,
honest.
because you're honest.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing with a girl. She meets a guy and he's like, "Yeah, I've been cheated on." She might be like, "Yeah," he might have like trust issues or whatever, and she might not want to take the risk. And you can't hate that, but at least if you explain to, say, as Anthea said, "Hey, like, yes, I've been cheated on, but I've taken the time to heal. I've gone to therapy. I've done XYZ to become a better human, productive human being." The person back then is not the person standing in front of you now. I think the person would be more objective, but that's what I keep saying. We need to be honest and give people the opportunity to say yes or no, or the people to say, is this something I want to commit to?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that you've got to be, I think you just want to just say an awareness of, well, like, sometimes when you, and I think, again, this is going to be because it's the wrong person for you, where sometimes you give people information and they use that to load their gun to be able to fire the you when something hasn't gone their way. And
Well,
they could
that's why
say,
you shouldn't date them at all. Like, if
right,
you're dating somebody and you're telling them intimate and private things and they are using it against you, then you know that that's the wrong
right. That's what I was,
person
yeah.
to
That's why
date.
I started. Yeah, absolutely. It's why, you've always got to have a very high level of awareness when getting involved with someone. I think that is really important.
I agree. I agree. So look, guys, this was going to be a shorter. The podcast ones, we're going to try to keep them short and sweet for you guys. We really appreciate you guys, as I said, just coming on and adapting to our schedule of us doing an evening show. We're seeing a lot of viewers. Hopefully, we can get more engagement from you guys. As you said, I'm trying to run our podcast as a business, and when you come here, we do have expectations, and that is that you like and support and subscribe. We don't ask you to pay for anything. We just ask you to smash the like button, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, any platform you decide. We provide the platform. We just want you guys to support it. So, again, we greatly appreciate everything that you guys do. Hopefully, you appreciate everything that we do. And we will see you guys on Friday.
See you later, everyone. Have a good evening or day, wherever you are in the world.
Wherever you are in the world.